Greetings, members, one and all of the Salivation Nation. So it begins. The first nation to launch a central bank digital currency on the 1st of October. Let's explore. You can add this to another reason or what it would take for silver to reach $50 an ounce again. I just posted a video about that very topic, and we can probably add, things like this that are centralizing currencies even more. It's all about control. That's really what it is about when you have digital currencies, especially controlled by these central banks. And this is a little bit of a shock to the system. We're starting to see it occur here. And the first nation to take part in this is what we're talking about right here. Coin World has an article that was recently posted, harvested from a previous article that we're going to reference here in a moment. Necessity being the mother of invention. Venezuela, no surprise. They're about to become a world leader in something other than inflation. On the 1st of October, its central bank will become one of the first in the world to implement a digital currency. And I think this tells us, it gives us a couple of warnings, that, hey, if all else fails, let's just go to the stopgap, and that is central bank digital currency. Another reset, essentially. It's called the Digital Bolivar. The 1st of October move is yet another reaction to the country's rampant hyperinflation and will be accompanied by the issuing of one digital Bolivar coin and 5, 10, 20, 50, and 100 digital Bolivar banknotes that will circulate alongside the current notes. And that is the example of what we'll probably see. What better way to test this out with a country who has basically been demolished or decimated by inflation and socialism? Why not do it there first to see how it works, and that'll be a test bed for all the others. The guinea pig, so to speak, will be Venezuela. And so the latter will have 6 zeros slashed off their stated denominations. In other words, the face value of the old notes still in circulation will be divided by 1,000,000 and remain legal tender. The new 100 Bolivar note will initially be worth about $25. The move is not a demonetization, but is being called an effort to simplify the payment process. Of course, they are revaluing their currency, for sure, accounting records and computer systems. But let's reference back here to an earlier article that goes in a little more detail about this from CoinGeek.com. They'll be launching their digital Bolivar in October, and they'll be slashing 6 zeros from their currency. They've experimented with the controversial Petro digital currency. You may remember I posted a video about that as well. Venezuela is now set to launch the Digital Bolivar, the country's version of its central bank digital currency. The Digital Bolivar will launch on October 1, with the Venezuelan government taking the opportunity to shave off 6 zeros from the currency. The Digital Bolivar was first revealed in February of 2021 by President Nicolas Maduro. At the time, he described the currency as a surprise, and he kept it so, with very little being revealed in the 6 months since then. So why a digital currency when the country already has the embattled and controversial Petro digital currency? Well, for one, the Petro has never been afforded the status of legal tender in Venezuela, despite the relentless efforts by President Maduro to promote its usage. The Petro has also defied the efforts of the controversial president, failing to capture the market share Maduro envisioned when he launched it in 2018. The Digital Bolivar was announced by the Central Bank of Venezuela via its social media accounts and later its website. And then you can see the Twitter page from the Banco Central de Venezuela in the announcement in Espanol. The digital bolivar will be issued alongside new physical notes. Sources within the central banks have stated banknotes corresponding to the new CBDC are already in the process of being used. The central bank also revealed that alongside the digital currency it would be shaving off 6 zeros from its currency. This is President Maduro's effort to reduce the runaway inflation and protect the value of the bolivar. Well, unless you have anything backing it, especially in a nation where people have very little faith in the government, I don't think it's going to do a whole lot of good. But it'll be interesting to see how the central bank digital currency is received by the people of Venezuela. In the past 15 years, Venezuela has had 3 redenominations, all meant to fight hyperinflation, and all failing to do so. In 2007, President Hugo Chavez shaved off 3 zeros from the currency. Maduro would later succeed him, and in 2018, he used the launch of the Petro digital currency to cut off 5 zeros. Now they're going to 6. For reference, a cup of coffee costs 7.6 million bolivars, which is equivalent to just $2. According to monetary experts, the shaving off of the zeros will make transactions easier for Venezuelans in the short term. However, this is just a band-aid solution that doesn't address the underlying challenges, including mistrust of the currency and a massive public spending that's not matched by local production. Boom, exactly right. And that's an example of what is essentially starting to occur here, creeping up in our country. Although we are the best of the worst out there, which means that we can have the hubris and we can continue to do so. But more and more nations around the world are getting leery of the dollar and trying to separate themselves from it, mainly Russia and China, for starters. Luis Vicente, a Caracas-based economist, told Bloomberg, removing those zeros does not solve at all the reason that originated the problem, and he's exactly right. Without resolving the root of the issue, we will have the same problem in months. And so I think that's well stated. And now we'll go back to the article here on Coin World, because I think this is quite interesting to see this. The new currency will have the same standard portrait of Simon Bolivar on the face. The identical backs show a scene commemorating the 200th anniversary of the Battle of Carabobo, where in 1821 forces led by Bolivar defeated the Spaniards and led to Venezuela's freedom from Spain. The digital bolivar is not being called a central bank digital currency. It will use an SMS-based exchange system for transfers and transactions between its users, but really, because it's being launched from the central bank, it really is a central bank digital currency. When Venezuela introduced a cryptocurrency called the Petro in 2018 that was linked to the nation's oil wealth, it used the occasion to knock 5 zeros off. As a normal practice, the central Bank of Venezuela blamed the United States for its problems. It said in a statement, this change of monetary scale, which is supported by the deepening and development of the digital economy in Venezuela, constitutes a necessary historic milestone as the country begins a path of economic recovery after the crisis produced by the brutal attack on our economy and national currency and the criminal application of an economic and financial blockade. But in reality, it's the article continues, but I'm going to give my side note here. The reality is that Venezuela problems are caused by the central planners in Venezuela that happen to be dictators, Hugo Chavez and Nicolas Maduro. So when you have socialism being implemented by dictators, it's going to be ripe for problems. That's never worked out for anybody anywhere. You can't blame anybody else, and that's what happens when progressive leftism moves its way towards a socialism, and we're starting to see that here in this country. And when you implement modern monetary theory en masse, it's going to lead to the same problems. And of course, when you have dictatorships that punish and there's human rights violations against their own people, of course, nations like the United States should not deal with those countries, and they should not support the regimes that are in charge, that are causing havoc for the people in their countries. The financial blockade is not to the people of Venezuela, it's to the brutal dictators that have made their way and forced their way into that country. And the irony here, as the article closes, is that the local Venezuelan economy functions not with bolivars, but U.S. dollars. So a very interesting side note, because the fiat and the value of the dollar is more respected, so they're going to be using that currency there instead of these bolivars. Very interesting indeed, for sure, and it just goes to show you where we are at. And I've also heard stories, and again, I can't substantiate any of this, but silver is being utilized in some of these areas as well. And I believe in the end, silver as a monetary metal, even though these days by the marketplace it's seen more as a commodity, but you and I do understand it as a monetary metal, and that will not go away. In fact, I think because of this central bank digital currencies, and now with Venezuela being the first to use it in mass and scale starting in October, I think that is going to set a precedent, and other nations are going to be sitting back watching how it works in Venezuela. My guess is it probably won't be too successful, but that does not mean they won't still practice it, because it's all about control. And when you can trace and track every transaction through the ledger system in that central bank digital currency, well, bets are off the table, and they will utilize other currencies and other means of exchange, silver being one of them that will be very, very handy in these times. And I believe that could potentially push the price up. And so there you go. Let me know what your thoughts are. Very interesting news indeed. I'd like to extend a multitude of gratitude to you all for taking the time to watch this video, and to encourage you to please rate, share, comment, and subscribe.